Hello, this is Jack Gilbert, and this presentation is called Leading from Listening. And I can't tell a lie, I really like my presentations and hope people find value in them, but this is my current favorite presentation. One, because it really gets people in the game quickly and engages them quite intensely, and also provides a platform from that to really deal with the subject of leading from listening and how it fosters or suppresses change and innovation. In terms of the typical learning outcomes, certainly to gain insights from this experience of coaching, which I'll come to understand the relationship really of how we listen and our success in leadership and innovation. And also to choose actions back home to really capitalize on the insights, as always. If this is the concluding presentation, I've presented it as a standalone keynote, or I have done it in combination with other innovation-oriented presentations. So let's begin. It starts with a coaching experiment, and it's a conversation between two partners in which each takes it as turn to coach the other about an unresolved issue they're willing to share. Or to fit in a general audience, that would maybe be more broader than it would be in a work group who know each other already, even a large work group or a similar organization. But the point is not for them to risk anything by sharing, but just to experiment with one being a coach and one being a listener, a speaker rather, who's looking for an issue to be resolved. And that's what they do, and then they take turns doing that. However, in doing so, they cannot give any advice, and nor can they give any commiseration. Oh dear, I feel that way too, whatever that is. And then we see what results from that. And commonly what results from that is a frustration, because we're pretty much advice machines and we can't give advice, which leads us to, in the end, questions. And not questions like, don't you think you're really stupid? But questions that actually try and move the action forward. And for people who are being coached in that way, it is not infrequent that they comment that they actually began to think for themselves through the problems, through the issues that they were dealing with. So it's an actually insight generating exercise. And from that, I'm able to go into the conversation about considering that what we listen for actually shapes our ability and individually and collectively to lead and innovate. That it either limits it or not. Specifically, we can choose what we're listening for. And some of the things we do listen for are pretty negative. What they want to hear, the fatal flaw, I'm listening, but I now got you. Being right, just wanting it to end. And deciding if they're worth listening to, and validating our own assumptions. These are things that don't really move the ball forward, but they're pretty common, and participants kind of get that and identify with how that can happen, because it's a quite human thing. There are other ways to listen. We can listen for a valuable nugget, or we can listen for common ground, for understanding, simply for understanding, and also for new possibilities. And these are ways that foster innovation, foster positive change, actually build relationship with those we are working with. So some of the things we talk about and discuss together are the limits of selling and the power of enrollment. And I use participant examples, but essentially it's not selling something, it's coming together for a shared possibility. And there are specific elements of that we cover, and probably take about 10, 15 minutes to cover that, because it's a critical point. It's beyond buy-in. It's about co-ownership of something. And in order to do that, we need common ground. We need to see what possibilities there are together with stakeholders that we're working with. So that's an important element of the conversation. We talk about deaf leadership and the cost, in particular in the Columbia Space Shuttle disaster as an example. Open mining leadership and its benefits with the birth of GPS. Listening and coaching up, hard to do, but how could we do it successfully and or more increase the chances of success, and listening and complainers and how to deal with complainers. Those are some of the elements that we touch on, and it creates a rich conversation. Pretty much everything summed up in this quote from Winston Churchill. So that is the conversation that we have. If you want to know more, please reach out to me at jack@jgilbertassociates.com or go to the website. And I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.